I think still there's this misconception that, number one, well, some of these homeowners, it was kind of on them. You know, they wanted the big house and they didn't want to do what it takes to work hard to actually earn it, so they cut a lot of corners. And two, that well, some of this behavior was unethical, but, and Obama famously said this, unfortunately, it wasn't illegal, so we can't really do anything about it. You really drive home the point that this wasn't just borderline or unethical, immoral, but technically legal behavior. This was actually provably criminal behavior and fraud that virtually no one was held accountable for.
And like everything you do, Crystal, spot on. Okay, so here's the story. President Obama lied to the American people. The Obama administration and the deceit of Eric Holder's Department of Justice and everything that basically created the apparatus between Hank Paulson, that was a little bit of a slip, John Paulson, and we'll get to that later. But Hank Paulson and Ben Bernanke and Tim Geithner, it was all an absolute deception from politics covering for the largest criminal and conspiracy in the history of the world. There were literally tens of millions of felonies that took place at every level of this pipeline. And that's what we deconstruct in the con. And that's the story that the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune, the Miami Herald, the Los Angeles Times, across the board has not told to this day. Now, some of the guys that you guys talk to are some of our heroes. For example, Matt Taibbi. I was obsessed with Matt Taibbi early in the process, and I first got to understand this awareness from inside the belly of the beast in layman's language of all of these things that he was revealing in these 10,000 word essays at the time in Rolling Stone magazine that were basically telling me what my gut was telling me, that, wait a second, this is a dog and pony show, 3-card Monty that was tricking everybody into what were liar's loans. That ultimately Rick Santelli, if you guys recall, was on the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange when he says, hey, why don't we take out, backstop the run of all of these people using their houses as ATMs to build like a second part of their partition or, a garage or whatever they were doing. And they're the ones who were to blame for this crisis, which of course in war led to the Tea Party. That was absolute nonsense. It was the people like Rick Santelli that were covering for the lies and the deception at the tables that literally were deceiving people into all of what Kyle just said. All of these different loan products that were simply liar's loans. They had I think there was there was 20 plus different types of loan products that I'm aware of that they could basically get people into loans. And now granted, understand this. This is another huge misunderstanding of what happened during the crisis. The people that leveraged their houses, most of these people had insane equity in their houses. They owned their houses. The economy was stagnant. People had, major bills. Obviously, there was inflation in a lot of sectors, and people needed money. So these brokers would dangle out these products to use people's houses as a way to refinance to pay for, lack of health care, lack of increase in income, and so on and so forth, so that they use their houses as leverage to maintain life. And that's because of all of the tricks of deception that were taking place in the pipeline. That start with the brokers selling faulty products, that go then to the appraisers that are hyperinflating the appraisal loans. So what we've learned in this process from the very beginning was a rolling loan knows no loss. It was literally Wall Street with $70 trillion of appetite from a global market that was looking for a place to park their capital into the housing market that was laid out through the mortgage-backed securities debacle that then turned into derivatives trades that, turned into a $600 trillion hedge that all of these incredible market makers were able to manipulate behind the scenes for outcomes that were just insane. But at the very beginning, the core of this, like Eric, pointed out, you got guys lying, stealing, and deceiving, which are all violations of civil rights laws. What we have throughout the country is deceptive acts and practices, which are felonies. There's civil rights violations based on HOPA, or I think it's pronounced HOEPA, which is Homeowner Equity Protection Act. Now, interestingly enough, Crystal and Kyle, the buck stopped with the Federal Reserve Chairman who was supposed to regulate these markets.